So I'm going to be doing a new feature on the webcam here. I'm going to be trying that out. Let me know if you like it. It basically just lets me go like this, be like, damn, this new motherfucking story over here. And be like, damn, man, you got to check this shit out, son of a bitch. And I'll be like... And so here's the thing. To get to the point of this video, the United States House Committee on Science, Space, and Technology is a committee of the United States House of Representatives, and it basically has power over a ton of things in our nation, including the Department of Energy, FEMA, Fire Administration, NASA, and pretty much a boatload of things that are scientific. Now, you would think that being that this is a committee that has so much power over so many things that are scientifically based, and seeing that science is pretty much, you know, humanity's claim to fucking fame, because it's what separates us from animals, from, you know, animals that cannot do thinking of that level. Obviously, there's other things too, like being idiots in a lot of cases. But basically, here's the thing. You would think that the people on this committee would be very intelligent, very well-read, very educated people, right? Because that's what would happen logically in a society that is civilized and intelligent. But then you remember that stuff like that is only in books, apparently. Because there's an article I've linked in the info, which you can go to. And here's some quotes in this article from people who formerly or currently sat on this committee. Now, this isn't going to be stuff like, oh, they misquoted where an oil spill was, or anything like that. No, this isn't going to be things like that. This is going to be things like, for example, one person on it, who, again, I will not name because you can go to the article and actually check that out, who says that he opposes abortion for rape victims. Because if it's a legitimate rape, the female body has ways to try to shut that thing down. This guy is on the science board, or was at least. He is no longer anymore, thank God. But think about this here. First of all, what is a legitimate rape? What qualifications are needed to have this? What does that even mean? Okay? Secondly, the female body has ways to shut that thing down. Okay, I don't know if this guy knows anything about history, but the concept of rape pretty much didn't really come across until, you know, recently. Because back in caveman days, and even back in, you know, Egyptian society and a lot of other societies of that era, that kind of stuff was pretty common. So if the female body had ways to shut that whole thing down about getting pregnant when getting raped, humanity wouldn't exist. Because I'm sorry to say, factually, that happened a lot back in the fucking caveman eras, and Egyptian, and Stone Age, and Greece, and Roman, and Greek, and everything else like that. Okay? I'm not saying it's the only way that babies were conceived, but the human population would be statistically significantly less. Not to mention, just going back to the whole thing of legitimate rape. How does the body know that? What is even a legit... I don't even know where to even begin with this. I'm done. And that's not even one quote that's just out there in another field. Here's another one by another person that sat on the board. Okay? All that stuff I was taught about evolution and embryology and the Big Bang Theory, all that is lies straight from the pit of hell. And it's lies to try and keep me and all the folks who were taught from understanding that they need a savior. He also added into this that I don't believe that the earth is but about 9,000 years old. Now this guy, actually, if I just said that he wasn't on it, I actually need to requote, he is on the science committee. This guy is on the science committee. Think about that one for a minute. A guy quoting that the earth is about 9,000 years old. It's on the science committee. A committee that controls and has the ability to shut down or affect or at least control in some way NASA and the fire department and FEMA and geological fucking portions of our government and studies and science and everything else in the book. I know I'm probably quoting this whole shit terribly or wording this terribly, but you get my point. How? How did he even run for this? How did people even elect him for this? That's not scientific fact. I don't care what your religion is. There's a difference between being religious and saying something like, okay, Noah's Ark, did or didn't happen, although, like, scientifically it's impossible that Noah's Ark happened, just by the way, because it would require Noah to have literally something, I think, like 80,000 different species of insects on board, and to have food for all of those, not to mention to keep them from, dying or infecting the entire amount of animals with pretty much every plague ever known to organisms in the history of the universe. And that's just insects, of course. That's not counting, arachnids and, protozoa and amoebas and everything else like that. But anyways, I digress. The whole point is there's a difference between having an opinion on something that's based in religion that doesn't have a way to prove it scientifically. Like, you can't really prove whether or not God exists. So it's perfectly fine if you have an opinion that God exists. And I'm not going to slight you for that. But there is scientific proof that the Earth is not 9,000 years old. We kind of learned that, like, forever ago. And if you're sitting on a board in the year 2013 for science, and you're saying this, there is something drastically wrong with our government and with Congress and with the House of Representatives. There is something very wrong there that this person is on this board. Not to mention the whole thing about saying that all these other things are from the pit of hell. So let's continue on here. Continue on. You think that was the last quote? Oh, no. That ain't even close to the last quote. Let's go down here a little bit. There is another person who is was the committee chair, who says that climate change is the product of a mass global conspiracy of scientists. Think about that one for a minute. He's on a science board, and he's saying that climate change is the product of a mass global conspiracy of scientists. So if it's a global conspiracy by scientists, then that would make him not a scientist, and yet he is on a science board. And then, of course, let's go on to this a little bit more here. He says that he doesn't believe climate change is something that we've created because I don't think we can control what God controls. These people are on the science board. Don't think we can control what God controls. I guess the Industrial Revolution never happened. Electricity never did either. For that matter, sterilization never happened. Birth control definitely, obviously, is absolutely god-awful. Cultivating fruit, farming absolutely is impossible because we can't control what God controls, right? And transportation, the wheel obviously was never invented because we can't control what God controls. Language, obviously, you have the Tower of Babylon. So I clearly believe he's right, and all these things in the background are all just because I'm clearly Satan, and I just spawned all of this myself with my demonic powers. So, and here's another good quote by the same person. I'm really more fearful of freezing, and I don't have any science to prove that. But we have a lot of science that tells us that climate scientists are not basing it on real scientific facts. what the fuck is wrong with you? And for a better thing to ask, what the fuck is wrong with all of you who voted this person in? What the fuck is wrong with this government? What the fuck is wrong with Congress? What the fuck is wrong with this entire goddamn nation? Now, I'm not saying that America as a whole is fucked up. You know? It's like, Justin Bieber is a fucking terrible musician. But he's not going off on like a murdering spree or something like that. Or like torching entire villages. So obviously he's not completely bad. It's the same thing with America. America has a lot of great things with it. It really does. And I'm perfectly happy and satisfied to be living in America. The only other places I'd rather live would probably be, I don't know, fucking Canada. And that'd be about it. You know, maybe some parts in Europe and so forth. But my point still stands that the fact that these people, these are 3 individual people, have been able to get onto a board in the highest ranking seat of power in our nation outside of the presidency that control multiple scientific communities, not to mention multiple scientific seats of power, and they're quoting things about the Earth only being 9,000 years old and about completely just like total fallacies in science. They're basically saying they're not even scientists and they're on a scientist board. I don't know where to even begin with this. And the best part, though, is let me reread that quote to you, that last one. And I don't have any science to prove that. But we have a lot of science that tells us climate scientists are not basing it on real scientific facts. And I don't have any scientists, or I don't have any science to prove that, but we have a lot of science. And then it goes in to say that tells us that climate scientists are not basing it on real scientific facts. So you have, and I don't have science, but we do have science, and these other scientists are not basing it on real scientific facts. Where do you can't even begin anywhere in that sentence. These people are running our nation. And if they aren't right now, they were at one time. What the fuck is going on here? This is like something out of like a comedy. This is honestly as bad as the whole case of Reddit's co-founder that got charged with felonies because the prosecutors don't even understand how the fuck the internet works. This is ridiculous. How are these people even in power? My nephew is like 9 years old. He knows better than this. It's not even about being religious or not. It's just, how do you get on a science board with these things? You can be religious and get on a science board, but and I'm not even going to give the honor of dissecting the latter 2 quotes in the article, which again say that climate change is a massive international scientific fraud, one of them, and another person who is on the committee, both of these people are still on the committee, the second person said that dinosaur flatulence might explain the history of climate change. Dinosaur flatulence apparently is so potent that it lasted for 65 million years to affect climate change even today. This is fucking sad. Please, elect me to Congress today so that we may have one less idiot on a board that runs a large majority of the scientific development of our country. This explains so much. So much. And that's it. Also, another Era of Errors page is going up tonight, which, by the way, you can see in the background there. Let me get my face over here so you can see it better. Wait, right over here. You can see in the background there is a magnet. It's on my fridge. That was pretty cool. And I got that from a friend of mine, so that's pretty neat, and it's artwork from the series. But yeah, another page of that is going up tonight, and the link to it's in the info. And I just don't even fucking know. I just don't even know. Let me know if you like the zoomy webcam thing. That's it. That's your United States House Committee on Science, Space, and Technology. Good job, everybody! Tomorrow we'll learn about how the Earth actually rotates around the sun. Yay!